days GST refresher course. So काफ़ी रास्ता हमने तय कर लिया है, 21 डेज पे आ गए हैं, 31 में से मेजॉरिटी कवर कर लिया है. नाउ वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ the discussions of CGST Act, then thereafter the IGST Act, which will be uh, covering the most important provision, which is related to the place of supply. But prior to that, still there are three chapters remaining, 19, 20, and 21. So we'll be dealing with chapter number 19 today. As per the schedule that we have given, I think that 19th chapter was divided into two parts. So it was from section 122 to section 128, and then from section 129 to section 138. That was the two divisions. So we'll try to cover at least till 129 or 130 today, so that rest of the sections can be covered tomorrow, and then we'll move to chapter 20, which deals with the transitional provisions. And transitional provisions, I am of the view that I'll not be taking in detail, like even in those sections I'll not be reading section by section, because there are almost settled facts. And today we have the news that we have a very favorable ruling by the Honorable Delhi High Court, wherein it has been held that the all the assessees or all the taxpayers who could not avail the Tran 1 credit are allowed to avail that prior to 30th June or till 30th June, because after that the Limitation Act will come into play, and therefore 3 years will be over. So all those stuffs are already there, and only one thing which I would like to cover there would be the amendment in the Finance Act 2020, wherein they have amended retrospectively section 140, and they have inserted something. वो उसी समय डिस्कस करेंगे जब हम ट्रांजिशनल प्रोविजंस करेंगे. एंड वेरी क्विक विल मूव टू the last section, last chapter, that will be the miscellaneous provisions. Why I'm telling this today? Because I intend to save one day. And I intend to cover 5 queries and the entire CGST and IGST Act within 30 days, so that one day extra can be given or allotted to the queries. That is my intention, because we have received lot many queries which certainly I would like to cover. मैंने आपको कमिट किया ही है कि मैं आपको वो भेजूंगा क्वेरीज की रिप्लाई, बट एटलीस्ट मैं ये चाहूंगा कि एक दिन अगर हमें एक्स्ट्रा मिल जाए, एक दिन हम बचा सकें, तो एक दिन 31st डे पे हम क्वेरीज को ही हम वापस से एक दिन बढ़ाएं. सो दैट इज माय इंटेंशन. सो आई विल ट्राई टू स्किप दैट chapter 20, which is dealing with transitional provisions, but it will not be a full-fledged skip, because there are certain provisions which I would like to touch upon, and there are certain amendments which I would like to touch on. So friends, anyways, the topic which we are going to deal today and the chapter is chapter 19 of the CGST Act. And this is one of the, again, I would say very important chapter, because it deals with offenses and penalties. Even the prosecution provisions are also covered into this section, section 132. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to analyze it. We'll try to read the law and understand it. Acha, one more announcement is there, like many of messages I've received, again, telling that you go in some detail, you try to explain the practical issues and concentrate more on the issues. So friends, I will again reiterate, कई बार मैं पहले भी बोल चुका हूँ, मैं वापस बोल रहा हूँ, we'll have to abide by the intention or the focus area with which we have started this course. We have started this course to revise the law, to read the sections, to understand the sections once again, to read it once again as a fresh. So friends, अगर टाइम बचता है तो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि जितना भी मेरे व्यूज हैं या जो भी लिटिगेशंस मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किए हैं या जो देखे हैं या पढ़े हैं, वो मैं आपके साथ टच करूं. बट अगर टाइम परमिट नहीं करता तो आई हैव टू स्किप दैट, बिकॉज द प्रायोरिटी इज द लॉ पर से. सो विल बी कवरिंग and focusing on the law, and then while covering that law we'll be also dealing with, जैसे आज offenses है, so while dealing with that offenses we'll certainly try to cover, I'll certainly try to cover some of the experiences which may be good or which may be bad with all of you, which will also or which may also help each one of us to interpret the law. So that certainly we are going to do. But इसके बाद एक एडवांस कोर्सेज हम जो कर रहे हैं, हम करने वाले ही हैं. इसके बाद जो हम करेंगे रूल्स का, और उसके बाद हम एडवांस कोर्सेज भी करेंगे, एज आई हैव सेड yesterday also, and I have repeated that many a times. Case laws already we have launched, so please bear with me, please be along with me. We are going to learn together, and it's a long journey. GST बहुत नया law है, and continuously I will be coming out with something or the other. Every quarter will come out with something or the other, some new course wherein we'll learn together. So don't worry. Let me move to the chapter of the day. Team, if I can be allowed to share my screen, please allow me to share my screen. Yeah, thank you. Yes, friends. We'll start with chapter 19, section 122. Section 122 deals with penalty for certain offenses. Now, please try to understand that this is a section which provides for or which lists down the activities which are treated as offenses under this law. So whenever any of the activities which are listed here, around 21 activities are there, any of the activity which is listed is undertaken by any person, then in that case the activity gets covered into the term offense, and therefore the penalty is imposed on that person. Now there are few questions I would like to request you to please note it down so that you can remind me that before the closure of the session, so that I can touch upon on that, or I can address that if I get the recollection. Now the question is, section 122 can be invoked without any adjudication or not? Meaning thereby, can the penalty be invoked without issuance of a adjudication or without issuance of a show cause notice under the provisions of section 73 or 74? That is one of the questions which I am very much into research of that particular answer, और इसके लिए हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी एक पिटिशन भी फाइल किया है ऑनरेबल गुजरात हाई कोर्ट में. तो जैसे जैसे हम आगे चलेंगे वैसे वैसे आई विल certainly discuss on those issues also, why the petition has been filed and what was that the fact of that particular matter, and how I am reading this particular section or particular law. So section 122 subsection 1, where a taxable person, again please mind friends, please bear in mind, please be careful that this term is taxable person. It means that it is applicable not only to the person who is registered but also to the person who is not registered but who is liable to be registered under section 22 or 24 of the CGST Act. Where a taxable person who, clause 1, supplies any goods or services or both without issue of invoice or issues an incorrect or false invoice with regard to any such supply. Now it is saying when a supply is made. Now देखिए ये वर्बाटिम वाइज बहुत सिंपल है, हम पढ़ते हैं तो, लेकिन मैं इसमें केवल आपके साथ, क्योंकि मेरे को काफी लोगों के कॉल भी आए और काफी लोगों ने मैसेज भी किए, तो आई विल ट्राई टू गिव वन एग्जांपल इन मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस वेयर इन विच इज रिलेटेड टू क्यों ये ऑफेंस में आएगा और किस तरीके से जो मार्केट में कंफ्यूजन चल रहे हैं या अभी भी ऑफिसर्स टैक्स ऑफिसर्स को भी क्लैरिटी नहीं है, लॉ में भी क्लैरिटी नहीं है, एंड I think the court is the only authority which is going to settle this particular provision. It is supplies any goods or services or both without issuance of invoice. तो मैंने इनवॉइस इशू नहीं किया और माल भेज दिया, और ये तो मुझे समझ में आया कि मैंने माल भेज दिया विदाउट इशुएंस ऑफ एन इनवॉइस, बट or issues an incorrect or false invoice with regard to any such supply. Now if I'm issuing an incorrect or false invoice, so incorrect means wherein the particulars are written which is not correct or which is wrong. False invoice can be wherein the entire, not only there are certain mistakes in the let's say incorrect क्या होगा कि incorrect में मैंने अब इनकरेक्ट और फॉल्स की अगर मैं डेफिनेशन बोलूँ तो बहुत थिन लाइन हो सकती है उसके गैप में, लेकिन मेरी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, इनकरेक्ट कैन भी जो आपने इनवॉइस में लिखा है, बाकी सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन जो सामने वाले का नाम है, सामने वाले का एड्रेस है, वो सारी चीजें ठीक है, लेकिन उसमें कुछ माइनर मिस्टेक्स हो गई. मे बी द क्वांटिटी is written incorrectly, the value is written incorrectly, that can be a case wherein false invoice will be जहां पे आप नाम भी गलत डाल रहे हो. So it's a very thin liner between these two words, but you'll have to differentiate because it says incorrect or false, but since the usage of word is false or it used or, so it makes no difference whether it is incorrect or false. But if invoice is issued by a taxable person which is incorrect or false, with regard to such supply, with regard to any supply, then in that case it falls into the offense. Second clause, issues any invoice or bill without supply of goods or services or both in violation of the provisions of this act or rules made thereunder. Now it says without supply of goods or both, यानी आपने केवल इनवॉइस बना के दे दिया. सो अभी जो मेजॉरिटी केसेस हुए हैं, जो मेजॉरिटी केसेस इंडिया में बुक हुए हैं, ठीक है फ्रेंड्स, प्लीज अप्रिशिएट. अभी केस लॉ एनालिसिस और बाकी इस ये जो बुक है इसकी कंपाइलेशन में वी हैव read through almost majority of the cases barring the advanced ruling cases. So around I would reiterate कि 900 around cases हैं जो हाई कोर्ट्स के हैं, और वो 900 में से भी you will be surprised to know that around 400 cases are with relation to section 129 and 130, wherein the goods are moving not with the proper documents, it is being detained or intercepted by the proper officer, and after detention by the officer it is the penalty and the confiscation provisions are invoked. Majority of the cases are belonging to that, otherwise उतने ज़्यादा cases नहीं है. So what does it say? इसके अलावा जो cases हैं वो हैं सर्च के, या आपके बैंक अकाउंट अटैचमेंट के, या अरेस्ट के. And all these cases, all those cases which are related to search under GST, which are related to prosecution under GST, majority of those cases are revolving around these issues, wherein the invoice is issued but the goods are not supplied. जहाँ पे आप फेक इनवॉइसेस, सर्कुलर ट्रेडिंग, उन सब की बातें करते हो, वो क्लॉज 2 में कवर हो जाता है स्क्वायरली और मेजरली. So it says where you are issuing an invoice without the supply of goods or services or both in violation of the provisions of this act. So it is certainly a violation, no, because you cannot without movement of goods you cannot, because you cannot just issue the invoices and और दी रूल्स मेड देयर अंडर. तो रूल्स में भी अगर कोई स्पेसिफाइड है कि आपके ये सारी चीजें होनी चाहिए और वो अगर नहीं फॉलो हो रही हैं तो दैट इज द वायलेशन ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजन. थर्ड, collects any amount as tax but fails to pay the same to the government beyond a period of 3 months from the date on which such payment becomes due. This section we have already read earlier. जब हम सेक्शन 75, 76, 77 कर रहे थे तो we have read this, you have collected the tax but you have not paid. So there was a procedure which was laid down in section 76 जहाँ पे बोला कि आपको नोटिस दिया जाएगा and all those stuff were there even if it is exempt, but if you have collected you will have to pay that, but that will fall into the term offense under the GST provision. Clause 4, collects any tax in contravention of the provisions of this act but fails to pay the same to the government beyond a period of 3 months from the date on which such payment becomes due. So again the same, where the tax has been paid in contravention to the provisions of this act. Fails to pay the tax in accordance with the provisions of subsection 51, subsection 1 of section 51, or deducts an amount which is less than the amount required to be deducted under the said subsection, or where he fails to pay to the government under subsection 2 thereof the amount of tax so deducted. So आपने कहीं पे TDS की liability अगर आपकी आती है 51 में, तो आपने TDS में नहीं डिडक्ट किया या डिडक्ट किया कम किया या फिर आपने उसका पेमेंट नहीं किया, so it is also an offense under this law. Again clause 6, this is with relation to the collection of tax. अगर collection भी आपने कम किया या नहीं किया या फिर आपने फेल हो गए आप उसको जमा करने में, तो भी आपके ऊपर ऑफेंस की में आप कवर हो जाते हैं. नाउ क्लॉज 7. सो फ्रेंड्स प्लीज बेयर इन माइंड क्लॉज 1, क्लॉज 2, क्लॉज 7 and clause 9. These are the 4 clauses with respect to which one very alarming amendment has been done in this law. A very alarming amendment I would say, और वो subsection 1A की तरह से insert किया गया under section 122. We'll be dealing in few minutes, but please bear in mind clause 7 is very important. और मैं जो एक एग्जांपल आपके साथ बता रहा था कि एक रिट मैंने फाइल किया है, so I'll be discussing that also along with these provisions. Takes or utilizes input tax credit without actual receipt of goods or services or both, either fully or partially in contravention of the provisions of this act or rules made therein. What does it say? Let us spend 1-2 minutes into this. It says takes or utilizes input tax credit. So either he avails or he utilizes the input tax credit without the actual receipt of goods or services or both, meaning thereby he has not received the goods, he has received the invoice. On the basis of that invoice he has taken the credit. either fully or partially in contravention of the provisions of this act, the rules made thereunder. Certainly it is in contravention of the provisions of this act, because section 2 अगर आप पढ़ते 16(2) अगर आप पढ़ते हैं तो section 16(2) clause B बोलता है you must have received the goods or services. Unless you receive that, you are not eligible for claiming that credit. So it is an offense. तो ये हुआ क्या फ्रेंड्स, जो सप्लायर है, लेट्स से सर्कुलर ट्रेडिंग की अगर हम बात करें, A has supplied to B, B has supplied to C, C has supplied to D, and D has supplied return to A. What has happened in this case? A has not supplied the goods, he has supplied the invoice. तो ये ऑफेंस में कवर हो गया. B has not received the goods but he has taken the credit and passed on that credit to C. Again ये clause 7 में कवर हो गया. Clause 8, it says fraudulently obtains refund of tax under this act. So if he is obtaining any refund fraudulently, then in that case it is an offense. Clause 9, now this is also very important, takes or distributes ITC in contravention of the provisions of section 20 or the rules made thereunder. If he is taking any credit or distributing any input tax credit in contravention of section 20, section 20 को follow नहीं किया उसने, then also it will be covered into the offense term. So friends, this was clause 9 tak. Now moving to clause 10. Clause 10 says falsifies or substitutes financial records or produces fake accounts or documents or furnishes any false information or return with an intention to evade payment of tax due under this act. Now friends, please bear in mind that यहाँ पे specifically उन्होंने लिखा है कि अगर आप कोई financial records को change करते हो, falsify करते हो, कोई fake documents या accounts produce करते हो या कोई false information देते हो, तो there has to be an intention of evasion of tax. It is specifically written because we are human being, we are a normal human being. There are chances कि हम लोग गलतियां करेंगे, और बहुत सिंपल सी बात है, मैं हमेशा ही रिपीट करता हूँ कि जब भी हम कोई काम करेंगे तो गलती होने के चांसेस है, काम नहीं करेंगे तो गलती नहीं होगी. So there are chances that I am falsifying or my accounts are getting falsified because of some belief or some bona fide belief of mine, or because of the lack of information or lack of knowledge. But that does not mean that I was having any intention to evade payment of tax, and therefore यहाँ पे specifically लिखा है कि falsifies or substitutes financial records or false fake accounts, produces fake accounts or documents, or furnishes any false information or return with an intention to evade payment of tax under this act. So this again becomes relevant and crucial as per me. He is liable to be registered under this act but fails to obtain registration. He is liable but he fails to obtain the registration. तो वो कवर वैसे भी ऑफेंस में हो जाएगा अगर उसने सप्लाईज किए हुए हैं, बिकॉज वो सप्लाईज कैसे करेगा, जीएसटी की इनवॉइस तो दे नहीं पाएगा, प्लस उसकी लायबिलिटी रजिस्ट्रेशन लेने की थी, नहीं लिया तो भी वो कवर हो जाएगा. आप ध्यान करें फाइनेंस एक्ट 1994 में सेक्शन 77 हुआ करता था, उसमें ये सारी पेनल्टीज थी. फर्निशेस एनी फॉल्स इंफॉर्मेशन, if he is asked for any information and he furnishes the false information with regard to registration particulars either at the time of applying for registration or subsequently when asked for, so that also is an offense. Obstruct or prevents any officers in discharge of its duties under this act. So this is a broad provision, I would say, a very broad power wherein any officer can cover any taxpayer under the four corners of this section, section 122, saying that he was obstructing or preventing me in discharging my duties. This can be done, this can be misused by the tax officers, so we'll have to be very careful regarding this particular clause, clause 13. बट मैं अपना अगर पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस मानूं तो जब कॉजिंग एन ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन की बात आएगी या प्रिवेंटिंग एन ऑफिसर, प्रिवेंटिंग टू एन ऑफिसर या प्रिवेंटिंग एन ऑफिसर फ्रॉम डिस्चार्जिंग हिज ड्यूटीज की बात आएगी, तो मेरे हिसाब से ओनस जो रहेगा दैट विल बी ऑन द ऑफिसर एंड नॉट ऑन अस. सो ही विल हैव टू से दैट these are the reasons and the evidences because of which I was obstructed or I was prevented from discharging my duties. So but still we'll have to be very careful in this. Transports any taxable goods without the cover of documents as may be specified in this behalf. Now please bear in mind friends, section 122 ये है, इसी तरीके से सेक्शन 129 है जहां पे रेड विथ सेक्शन 68 है कि आप अगर कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्स ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में जा रहे हो तो आपकी गाड़ी को रोक सकते हैं, इंटरसेप्ट कर सकते हैं और उसके ऊपर पेनल्टी लगा सकते हैं. सेक्शन 129 इसका मतलब ये है कि आपको रिलीज कराने की पेनल्टी है. दैट इज नॉट द पेनल्टी फॉर द ऑफेंस दैट यू हैव डन. please be with me, please try to understand. Section 129 is for getting the vehicle which was detained or intercepted and detained released, but this is also an offense under section 122, and therefore the penalty under section 122 can be invoked and imposed on that person, because he was transporting the goods without the cover of the documents as may be specified in this behalf. So I am of the belief कि 129 122 दोनों इंडिपेंडेंट प्रोविजंस हैं और दोनों लगाए जा सकते हैं, लेकिन ये कैसे लगाए जा सकते हैं और क्या वो लगाए जाने ठीक है, that is a question which we need to understand, and that is the question before the honorable courts, wherein section 129 per se has been challenged. So it depends. Suppress his turnover leading to evasion of tax under this act. If I'm suppressing my turnover leading to evasion of tax, then again it will be an offense. But there may be a situation wherein I have a turnover in the eyes of the law or the officer, but that turnover is exempt turnover, which I have not shown. So he will have the allegation, he will put the allegations on me that the turnover was not said, not shown because you wanted to suppress, you wanted to evade the tax. But since it was an exempted turnover, there is no question of any evasion of tax under that. So you will have to see, you will have to go to the facts of the case and understand ki whether it was a real taxable turnover that was suppressed and which was leading to evasion of tax. Then it will be an offense. Fails to keep, maintain, or retain books of accounts and other documents in accordance with the provisions of this act or rules made thereunder. Whatever documents, now this is the important point because I regularly insist on this wherever I go to speak or wherever I share my views. I clearly say that you are required, and you might be remembering जब हम section 35 पढ़ रहे थे, तो I have said at that point also repeatedly, whenever you are asked to provide or you are asked to keep and maintain certain documents or books of accounts, you are supposed to maintain it, you will have to maintain it. If section 36 says कि आपको ये documents को maintain करना पड़ेगा, आपको ये documents को maintain करना पड़ेगा for this many years, like 72 months, then you will have to maintain it, you will have to maintain it. You cannot say that I will because of these reasons I am not in a position to maintain it. You will have to maintain it. So if you are not maintaining it, it will become the offense under section 122 clause 16. Moving to clause 17, fails to furnish information or documents called for by the officer in accordance with the provisions of this act or rules made thereunder, or furnishes false information or documents during any proceedings under this act. Now please appreciate, friends, we have read explanation 2 to section 74, which was specifically dealing with the word suppression, and therein the last line, if I remember, was that any information asked for if not provided. So the same thing is here also, but that is if the information is asked for if not provided, then also it is an offense, and if provided, but if it is a false information which is being provided, then also it is an offense. Clause 18, supplies, transports, or stores any goods which he has reason to believe are liable to confiscation under this act. प्लीज रिमेंबर सेक्शन 67 सबसेक्शन 1 वो इंस्पेक्शन का कब देता था क्लॉज बी में, जब उसको लगता था कि कोई वहां पे ऐसे गुड्स आपने रख रखे हैं जो विदाउट इनवॉइस है या जहाँ पे इवेजन हुआ है टैक्स का या जो टैक्स पेड नहीं है. 67(2) जहाँ पे ऐसे इनवॉइसेस पड़े हो हु आर विच आर लायबल फॉर कन्फिस्केशन, एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम 67(2) कैन बी इन्वोक्ड. So now they are saying in that cases it is also an offense, it is an offense also. तो जो टैक्स लेंगे वो तो लेंगे, साथ में 122 की भी प्रोसीडिंग्स होंगी, and therefore they are saying supplies, transports, or store any goods which he has reason to believe are liable to confiscation under this act. Issues any invoice or document by using the registration number of another registered person. काफी लोग ऐसा भी करते हैं, जो फेक इनवॉइसेस में डील करते हैं, वो ऑनलाइन जाके देख लेते हैं किसी का नंबर और वो इनवॉइस अपना उसका बनाते हैं और उसका नंबर डाल देते हैं और द डिटेल्स आर पर्टेनिंग टू दैट पर्सन and the invoice is being issued. So this is also an offense. Tampers with or destroys any material evidence or document. ये हर जगह रहेगा, आप कोई भी लॉ पढ़ोगे जिसमें ऑफेंस से रिलेटेड रहेगा, चाहे वो सीआरपीसी सीपीसी, इन दैट you will find this clause wherein if you are tampering with any evidence, then that is an offense under the law. 21, disposes of or tampers with any goods that have been detained, seized or attached under this act. Now यहाँ पे आपको ध्यान रखना है, You might remember that while discussing the provision of provisional attachment, we have discussed one thing कि आपके गुड्स को कई बार वो क्या करता है, प्रोहिबिटरी नोटिस डाल देता है, उस पे प्रोहिबिशन डाल देता है, ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रोहिबिशन इज इशूइंग, 67 में भी हमने डिस्कस किया था, और प्रोविजनल अटैच करता है एसेट्स को। तो अगर वो आपके स्टॉक को भी अटैच करता है या स्टॉक को वो ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रोहिबिशन इशू करता है, एंड इफ दी इज मेंशनिंग दैट item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, item number 4, value for 1, 2, 3, 4, and all those values are total and the order is issued, you will have to keep in mind and you will have to represent this, that whether you are concerned with the value of that goods or you are concerned with the item. Because if you are concerned with item, then you cannot dispose of those items, you will have to maintain the item as it is, because those are the seized items or the prohibition order have already been issued in those cases. तो वो आप डिस्पोज ही नहीं कर सकते, अगर आप डिस्पोज करोगे तो दैट विल बिकम एन ऑफेंस. So that is the reason why I was saying that if any order of prohibition has been issued to you, please write a letter to the jurisdictional officer and the jurisdictional commissioner that please allow me to dispose of these goods. At the same time, I assure your good self that we'll be maintaining the stock of these this value. That can be a recourse. Otherwise, अगर आपने बिना कुछ बात किए या बिना कुछ represent किए अगर उसको dispose कर दिया, तो you'll be covered in 21. So friend, these were 21 clauses wherein any activity which is pertaining to this or any action which leads to this will be treated as an offense under the GST law, CGST Act section 122. And चलो आपसे हो गया, then what is the effect of this? So it is said, any person, any taxable person who enters into all this shall be liable. Shall be liable for what? To a penalty of 10,000 rupees. It's okay, it's manageable, 10,000 rupees, or an amount equivalent to the tax evaded or the tax not deducted under section 51, or the tax short deducted or deducted but not paid to government. तो ये एक clause हो गया. Then 52, or the tax not collected under section 52 or short collected or collected but not paid. This is third. तो पहला क्या हुआ, wherein the amount will be equivalent amount of the tax evaded. दूसरा 51 में जो आपने शॉर्ट डिडक्ट किया या नहीं डिडक्ट किया या आपने डिडक्ट करने के बाद जमा नहीं किया. तीसरा 52 में जो आपने नहीं कलेक्ट किया, कम कलेक्ट किया या कलेक्ट किया लेकिन जमा नहीं किया. चौथा, इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट अवेल्ड ऑफ और पास्ड ऑन और डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड इरेगुलरली. दिस इज अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कोई भी आईटीसी अगर आप करोगे तो इक्विवेलेंट वैल्यू की पेनल्टी आपके ऊपर लग जाएगी 122 में, और द रिफंड क्लेम्ड फ्रॉडुलेंटली. So this comprises of all the 21 clauses that we have read above. So the penalty under GST law under section 122 subsection 1 will be the amount which is equivalent to 10,000 rupees, or the amount which is equivalent to tax evaded, number one. Tax in case of tax deduction, either not paid, short paid, or collected but not paid. Means either not deducted, short deducted, or collected but not paid. In case of tax collection at source, either not collected or short collected or collected but not paid. In case of the fourth can be in case of input tax credit which is availed of and passed wrongly or irregularly, and fifth will be refund fraudulently claimed. So that is the amount of penalty which can be imposed on the taxable person. So whichever is higher, तो या 10,000 रुपए या फिर टैक्स इवेडेड 10,000 रुपए, या टैक्स जो आपने डिडक्ट ही नहीं किया 10,000 रुपए, या टैक्स आपने कलेक्ट ही नहीं किया 10,000 रुपए, या इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट जो आपने गलत ले लिया और 10,000 रुपए, या आपने जो रिफंड गलत ले लिया, विच एवर इज हायर विल बी द अमाउंट ऑफ पेनल्टी अंडर सेक्शन 122 subsection 1. Moving to subsection 1A, this is the section which I was referring, and it has been recently introduced by Finance Act 2020, and this is a very dangerous provision which have been inserted, and this has a far reaching impact, I would say. As per me, this is a draconian provision. मेरे को ये लगता है, because the kind of behavior the tax officers have, the manner and the way in which they believe that every taxpayer is a fraud or is intending to evade the payment of tax, this subsection can be misused to a large extent. This subsection was required. This section was required. I will share that why I'm saying it was required. But the way and the manner in which this section has been brought in spite of getting used properly, it can be misused by the tax officers. Why I'm saying so? Give me some time. I'll certainly address that. But let us read the provision first, which has been recently introduced. Subsection 1A to section 122. It says any person. Sorry. Uh, just a minute. Any person who retains the benefit of a transaction covered under clause 1, 2, 7 और 9. This we have read. क्लॉज 1 का मतलब जो आप गुड्स भेज रहे हो उसको बिना डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ भेज रहे हो या प्रॉपर नहीं है. क्लॉज 2 का मतलब जो गुड्स आप भेज रहे हो उसमें आप जो इनवॉइस ही भेज रहे हो, गुड्स जा ही नहीं रहे आपके. करेक्ट ना. क्लॉज 7 जहाँ पे आप आईटीसी ले रहे हो, जहाँ पे गुड्स नहीं मिले आपको. क्लॉज 9 जहाँ पे आप रॉन्गली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो आईएसडी को. आईएसडी रॉन्गली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है, सेक्शन 20 के अगेंस्ट में कंट्रावेंशन में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है. दोज वर दी 4 क्लॉजेस 1, 2, 7 and 9. So any person who retains, so now please remember and please be careful and cautious that this word used is any person. It includes everyone, whether he is a taxable person or not. वो रजिस्टर्ड है नहीं है कोई मतलब नहीं, वो रजिस्टर्ड होने के लिए लाइबल है या नहीं है कोई मतलब नहीं. एनी पर्सन हु रिटेन्स द बेनिफिट ऑफ अ ट्रांजेक्शन कवर्ड अंडर these clauses of subsection 1 and at whose instance such transaction is conducted. Please mark the word used is and, it is not or. So there both the conditions are important. A person who retains the benefit and the person who on whose instance the transaction is conducted shall be liable to a penalty of an amount equivalent to tax evaded or input tax credit availed of or passed on. So he will be liable for equivalent penalty. Now please try to understand this. देखिए, we were discussing about the circular trading and the fake invoices and all those negative things that is happening in the country after the implementation of GST, and it has increased to a large level, large extent. और बहुत बड़े बड़े फ्रॉड्स हुए हैं, 500 हजार हजार 5,000 करोड़ रुपए के, जहाँ क्रेडिट्स घूमी है केवल डॉक्यूमेंट्स पे एंड गुड्स का मूवमेंट नहीं है. तो how it is impacting the economy, I am not going to speak on that. How it is going to lead to the tax evasion, I'm not going to speak on that. Whether there is any tax evasion or not, I'm not going to speak and argue on that. Tax evasion है या नहीं है, revenue neutral है या नहीं है, forget about all those things. Please try to understand and appreciate ये क्या बोलना चाहता है. होता क्या था काफी केसेस में जहाँ पे ऐसे सर्च हुए, दिस इज माय प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस आल्सो एंड ऑब्जर्वेशन आल्सो. 10 जगह पे सर्च हुई एंड ऑल दोस 10 प्लेसेस आर लिंक्ड. ए ने बी को, बी ने सी को, सी ने डी को, डी ने ई को, ई ने एफ को एंड देन वापस ए को, एंड ऑल दिस द सर्कुलर ट्रेडिंग इज हैपनिंग. बट ये जितने भी लोग हैं ये बहुत एक एवरेज लेवल के लोग होते हैं. एम्प्लॉइज होंगे, पियन होगा, वॉचमैन होगा, ऑल दोज पर्संस विल बी मेड प्रोप्राइटर्स ऑफ दोज ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस एंड दे विल बी डीलिंग विद or their name will be used, rather this is the correct way of saying it, their name will be used, but the main जो उसको बोलते हैं ना किंग पिन या मास्टरमाइंड, he will be someone else who will not be involved anywhere on the books. तो अगर वो बुक्स पे नहीं है तो डिपार्टमेंट उसका क्या करेगा, उसको कैसे पेनल्टी करेगा. हालांकि पास्ट पीरियड में काफी ऐसे केसेस में उसको अरेस्ट किया गया ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ स्टेटमेंट गिवन बाय दोस पर्सन. वो 10 लोग पकड़े गए, उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि ये पूरा जो हैंडल हुआ, ये पूरा जो scandal हुआ है, this entire thing has been handled by, let's say, Avinash. So in that case the department has taken action against Avinash and at many instances the person Avinash is arrested also. But उसका future क्या, how to, just because of a statement, but how to substantiate that he was really involved. What they are saying now is they have specified a provision per se in the law, but they have put in two conditions into it. First, if Avinash is, let's say, the mastermind, then he must retain the benefit of a transaction. Two, and his on his instance the transaction must be conducted. दोनों चीजें होनी चाहिए. फ्रेंड्स प्लीज बेयर इन माइंड, ये अगर दोनों कंडीशन नहीं होती तो इवन दी, आई एम सॉरी टू यूज दैट, बट हम ओपनली डिस्कस कर रहे हैं तो लेट मी डिस्कस दैट. इवन द पर्सन हु इज फैसिलिटेटिंग, देयर आर, like I don't want to name the profession, but professionals, let me say professionals, professionals, if he is involved anywhere, even to a 1%, so I would say that he is also retaining that 1% benefit of a transaction which is covered into 1, 2, 7 and 9, and therefore he is also involved. But in that case the second condition will have to be complied with, that on his instance the transaction was conducted. If that is not proved, then at least he is safeguarded, he is safe. अगर ये भी हो जाता है कि वो खुद इन्वॉल्व था और उसी के कहने पे सारे ट्रांजेक्शन्स हुए, then there is no question, you are covered into 1A. Otherwise, if you are merely a person who has said कि ठीक है X and Y, you have facilitated the meeting between those two persons and they are dealing into the transactions, you are not at all involved, you have not guided anything to them, and you have charged your fees of that, in that case you will be safe as per my view. ये सेक्शन आपको इम्पोज, आपको परेशान नहीं करेगा 1A, बट दिस इज a very good section I would say, but it can be misused to a large extent. जहाँ पे एक्चुअल फेक ट्रांजेक्शन्स हैं, एक्चुअल सर्कुलर ट्रेडिंग है, वहाँ पे ये सेक्शन बेस्ट है, बिकॉज ऐसा बहुत जगह पे हुआ है जहाँ पे बहुत छोटे छोटे लोग हैं, उनके नाम से कंपनीज बना के द एंटायर बिजनेस हैज बीन डन इन crores, 100 crores, 200 crores, and the liability is running into crores, and that person is earning 5,000, 10,000 rupees per month, so he's not at all in a position. So in those cases wherein, and this has been misused also, like usse export दिखा दिया है, वो ITC ले लिया है, उसका refund ले लिया, all those negative things have been done. I'm not saying that this provision is not a good provision, it's a very good provision because वो जो mastermind है उसको पकड़ने के लिए, but at the same time I would say this is a good provision, but at the same time the department should make a reasonable use of it, it should not be misused. Moving to subsection 2, friends. Any registered person who supplies any goods or services or both on which any tax has not been paid or short paid or erroneously refunded, or where the input tax credit has been wrongly used, availed or utilized, A, for any reason other than the reason of fraud or willful misstatement or suppression of facts of the evaded tax, then shall be liable to pay 10,000 rupees or 10% of the tax due from such person, whichever is higher. And clause B, for reason of fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of facts to evade tax, shall be liable to a penalty equivalent to 10,000 or the tax due from such person, whichever is higher. So friends, you might remember section 73 and 74. This is nothing but the provisions of section 73, 74. But यहाँ पे जो वर्ड यूज किया गया है वो यूज किया गया है रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन. सो 122 subsection 2 squarely covers the registered person, wherein जब हम 73 74 देखते हैं तो वहां पे वर्ड यूज किया गया टैक्सेबल पर्सन. सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस इन दीज टू प्रोविजंस. सो यू विल हैव टू कीप दिस इन माइंड कि रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के केस में सेक्शन 122 सबसेक्शन 2 कैन आल्सो बी इन्वॉल्व. मूविंग फर्दर, section 122 subsection 3, any person who A, aids or abet any of the offences is specified in clause 1 to 21 of subsection 1. Now this again covers the professionals, the advisors and the other person, because it is saying aiding or abetting to an offence. So aiding and abetting to an offence is certainly a very important aspect to be kept in mind, because any person who abates or aids to an offence, he is certainly equally responsible for that offence, and therefore he is made liable under this subsection 3 of section 122. What is the liability? We'll see later. B, acquires possession of or in any way concerns himself in transporting, removing, depositing, keeping, concealing, supplying, or purchasing, or in any other manner deals with any goods which he knows or has reasons to believe are liable to confiscation under this act or rules made thereunder. तो ऐसा कोई भी possession वो करता है जहां उनको पता है या रीजन है बिलीव करने का that these are the goods which are liable to confiscation, then also it is an offense which is covered under section 122 subsection 3. Next, clause C, receives or is in any way concerned with the supply of or in any other manner deals with the supply of services which he knows or has reasons to believe are in contravention of any provisions of this act or rules made thereunder. तो कोई भी सर्विस आप रिसीव करते हो या आप उससे कंसर्न हो, किसी भी तरीके से आप उससे कंसर्न हो, ऐसी सर्विसेज से जो आप जानते हो कि वो सर्विसेज इस लॉ के कंट्रावेंशन में दी जा रही हैं, द लॉ इज नॉट बीइंग कंप्लाइड, it is the services are being provided in contravention of the provisions of this act or rules made thereunder, then also you are covered. तो पहला जो clause B था वो goods के लिए था, clause C is for services. Clause D, fails to appear before the officer of central tax when issued with a summons for appearance to give evidence or produce a document in an inquiry. So even 122 subsection 3 में the person to whom a summon has been issued, if he fails to appear, because see the word used is any person, subsection 3 में, तो any person to whom the summon has been issued, if he fails to appear before the officer of central tax for production of any document in an inquiry or to give an evidence, then in that case that will also be falling into 122 subsection 3. Fails to issue invoice in accordance with the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder, or fails to account for an invoice in the books of accounts. या तो वो invoice ही बनाना भूल जाए, या फिर वो invoice तो बनाए लेकिन उसको record नहीं करे books में, तो भी वो offense में आएगा. And for all these 5 offenses which are specified in 122 subsection 3 shall be liable to a penalty which may extend to 25,000 rupees. So the officer can invoke these provisions, section 122 subsection 3, and make you liable for the payment of penalty to the tune of 25,000 rupees maximum. So friends, please, if we take 2 minutes to revise this, section 122 subsection 1 specified 21 situations wherein the activities, if are falling within those 21 clauses or any of those 21 clauses, will be supposed to be an offense, and that offense is leviable under this act, and the penalty is imposed on that to the tune of 10,000 rupees, or tax evaded, tax not deducted, tax not collected, tax wrongly input tax credit wrongly availed, or tax wrongly claimed refund, whichever is higher. इन पांचों में से कोई एक, और 10,000 rupees whichever is higher. 122 subsection 2, कोई भी रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन अगर वो कोई ऐसी सप्लाईज करता है जिसमें फ्रॉड नहीं है लेकिन शॉर्ट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स है, तो 10% और 10,000 रुपीज विच एवर इज हायर. अगर वो फ्रॉड वाली कोई इवेंट करता है तो देन द 10,000 रुपीज और द अमाउंट ऑफ टैक्स विच एवर इज हायर. सो दैट विल बी द पेनल्टी. 122 सबसेक्शन 3 में 5 सिचुएशंस दी गई हैं. पांचों में पहला एडिंग और अबेटिंग टू एन ऑफेंस, दूसरा ऐसी गुड्स की सर्विस सप्लाई जो आपको पता है कि वो लायबल फॉर कॉन्फिस्केशन है, सर्विसेज जहां आपको पता है कि ऐसी सर्विसेज हैं जो कंट्रावेंशन में इन इस एक्ट के कंट्रावेंशन या प्रोविजन के कंट्रावेंशन में ही दी जा रही है, फिर भी आप उसमें इन्वॉल्व हो या आप उसको रिसीव कर रहे हो, आपको कोई समन दिया गया, आप अपियर नहीं कर रहे हो, या फिर आपको कोई नोटिस इशू किया गया है जो सॉरी आपने इनवॉइस इशू नहीं किया और माल बेच दिया, या इनवॉइस इशू किया लेकिन रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया, तो ये पांचों सिचुएशन में आपके ऊपर 25,000 की पेनल्टी 122 सबसेक्शन 3 में लगाई जा सकती है. फ्रेंड, this was section 122 of the CGST Act. There are few cases I have included in this chapter. So कुछ है, लेकिन इसमें majority of the cases अगर आप देखेंगे तो majority of the cases are pertaining to section 129, 130, which deals with the interception of the vehicle and detention. तो यहीं पे कंफ्यूजन है कि वो 122 की पेनल्टी है या 129 की पेनल्टी है, बिकॉज दैट इज ऑल्सो ऑलमोस्ट एन इक्विवेलेंट पेनल्टी. तो किस तरीके से लगेगी वो आज भी क्लियर नहीं है, और आज भी उसके ऊपर डिबेट्स चल रही हैं और कोर्ट्स में मैटर्स चल रहे हैं. एक जजमेंट जरूर आया था, सिनर्जी फिटकैम, इफ टाइम विल अलाउ देन विल कवर टुडे, अदरवाइज विल कवर टुमारो, जहां पे उन्होंने 129 और 130 साथ में इन्वोक कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते हैं वो एड्रेस किया है, लेकिन 122 अलग से और 129 अलग से भी कर सकते हैं क्या, वो एड्रेस नहीं किया है. सो दिस इज गति किंतेत्सु एक्सप्रेस प्राइवेट लिमिटेड. Section 68 read with 122 and 129. Honorable High Court of Madhya Pradesh का केस है 12399 of 2018, 12399 of 2018. इसमें भी ऐसा ही हुआ था कि आपका व्हीकल जा रहा था, उसमें शिपमेंट्स थे which was being transported from Pune to Noida, but पार्ट बी जो अपलोड करना होता है ई-वे बिल का, दैट वाज नॉट अपलोडेड. उसका इंक्वायरी हुआ एंड देन द गुड्स वर डिटेन्ड, और उसके ऊपर अमाउंट टैक्स की और पेनल्टी उसके ऊपर इम्पोज की गई. रिट पिटिशन फाइल किया इसके अगेंस्ट में, एंड द ऑनरेबल कोर्ट हैज नॉट एंटरटेन्ड इट, एंड दे हैव सेड कि 1200-1300 किलोमीटर का डिस्टेंस था, एंड सिंस यू आर कैरिंग द शिपमेंट्स without part B of the EV bill, it is not correct, and therefore, admittedly, you have violated the provisions of the rules and the Act of 2017, and authority has rightly imposed the penalty and directed the petitioner to pay the same. So the order was confirmed. Then next is, again it is pertaining to section 122, wherein Govind Agrawal versus State of UP, High Court of Allahabad का ये मैटर था. यहाँ पे the person approached before the authorities for the anticipatory bail. Now anticipatory bail, as I was informed that in UP the provision of anticipatory bail was earlier, it was not there. Then latest and in past few months or few, let's say last year, I think the anticipatory bail provisions are there in uh, which are effective. But I am not aware कि वो exactly वहाँ पे क्या position है. But High Court of Allahabad, in this case, Govind Agrawal versus State of UP, they have denied the anticipatory bail on the and have taken a view that the petitioner was indulged into the economic offences, and because he was indulged into the economic offence, the anticipatory bail cannot be granted to him. This is इसका जो नंबर था, that was बेल वाले मैटर में 1337 of 2020. M. Elan Govan versus Assistant Commissioner Commercial Tax Officer, Honorable High Court of Madras. Petition number was 22104 of 2018. In this case, what has happened was that petitioner एक work contractor था, and he has filed a petition where the competent authority had issued a show cause notice on which the tax and the penalty was imposed under the GST for the work which was already done by him prior to the implementation of GST. So in this case, the Honorable Court has held that the view which is expressed in the show cause notice is not the final view. It is a view which might have been taken on the facts and circumstances, but the person can defend it, he can explain to the officer, and the view can be changed, and therefore this is a premature petition and need not be entertained. तो इस तरीके से उन्होंने entertain उस petition को नहीं किया, and it was said to be not maintainable, but they have directed that the petition is disposed of with a direction that the competent authority have to pass the final order on merits. So this was the order have to be passed on merits. Otherwise, the honorable court has denied to entertain into this matter. Raj Iron and Building Materials versus Union of India. Again, Honorable High Court of Allahabad, 826 of 2017. In this, again the issue was pertaining to the seizure of the goods and the issue of e-way bill. And again, in this case, the petition was decided in favor of the taxpayer. मेजोरिटी में अगर आप देखेंगे 129, 130 या जो भी डिटेंशन के केसेस हुए हैं जहाँ पे भी कोई पेनल्टीज इन्वोक हुई हैं, ऑल्दो 129, 130 में वो डिस्कस करेंगे, बट सिंस नाउ वी आर डिस्कसिंग, तो लेट मी शेयर माय व्यू. वहाँ पे मेजोरिटी केसेस में रिलीफ मिला है. रिलीफ क्या मिला है? दैट द व्हीकल इज बीइंग रिलीज्ड बाय द कोर्ट. आप कोर्ट में गए तो कोर्ट ने आपका व्हीकल को छोड़ दिया है. इन सम केसेस दे हैव इम्पोज्ड द पेनल्टी, इन सम केसेस दे हैव अग्रीड फॉर बॉन्ड. तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द केसेस ऑल्सो. जैसे मुझे एक ध्यान है कि एक जो केस मैंने आर्ग्यू किया था बिफोर ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट ऑफ गुजरात में, वहां पे ऐसा था कि वो टोबैको लेके जा रहे थे और वो टोबैको विदाउट एनी डॉक्यूमेंट्स था. उसको डिटेन कर लिया ऑफिसर्स ने. तो अब इसमें आपके पास क्या आर्ग्यूमेंट रहता है? यू कैनॉट से दैट ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंट्स वर देयर, देयर वाज अ क्लरिकल मिस्टेक, नंबर ट्रक नंबर गलत लिख दिया गया या बिल एक्सपायर हो गया, बट बिल तो था. ऑल द आर्ग्यूमेंट्स वर नॉट देयर. The argument was that yes, the truck was carrying tobacco, which is a sin good, and it was not having any documents. So in that case, the higher penalty may be invoked, may be imposed by the honorable court. और उसमें उस केस में कोर्ट ने यही बोला कि ठीक है, आप इसका जो इक्विवेलेंट अमाउंट है उतनी अमाउंट का बॉन्ड दीजिए या पेमेंट करिए. सो कुछ पैसा उन्होंने भरवाया और कुछ का बॉन्ड दिया. तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द फैक्ट्स एंड सर्कमस्टेंसेस, बट इन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द केसेस द व्हीकल हैज बीन रिलीज, और व्हीकल रिलीज हो गया और गुड्स को कई बार कॉन्फिस्केट कर लिया, ऐसा भी हुआ है. सो आई वुड से, as per my reading and whatever I have learned up till now, 129 130 में 130 तो confiscation of goods है, but 129 में majority of the cases have been in the favor of the taxpayer. Next question, let us take next case, let us take, it is section 74 read with 122. Mozart Global Furniture versus state officer, state tax officer. It is before the matter was before the Honorable High Court of Kerala, and the petition number is 34457 34457 of 2019. In this case, the issue was that there was a search and seizure. Now, petitioner was served with a notice under section 74, read with section 122, wherein the tax and penalty both were imposed on the estimated turnover for 1718 and 1819. The copy of the documents were not provided, which were seized at the time of search. The copies also were not provided to the petitioner. In this case, the court has held that the petitioner shall approach to respondent within 2 weeks, and respondent shall provide copy of the documents seized from their premises. Number one. Respondent shall also grant the petitioners 3 weeks time from the date of supply of copies for preferring their objections to the reliance sought to be placed in the notice on the said document. In short, for reply they have given 3 weeks time. The court has said कि respondent को 2 वीक में डॉक्यूमेंट देने, उसके बाद 3 वीक का समय देना है कि वो अगर कोई भी ऑब्जेक्शंस प्रेफर करना चाहेंगे तो they can prefer, and then respondent shall within a month thereafter proceed to adjudicate the issue after hearing the petitioners. So that was the sum and substance of this case. Daily Express versus the Assistant Commissioner, this matter will be discussing again in next section also. But ये मैटर में भी ऐसा ही था कि आप 68 के साथ रेड विद 122, 125, 126 and 129. So again, goods were moving and the vehicle was detained. Part V was not there. So that was the issue. So we will be touching upon these issues. और in general, I have already said कि इन issues में क्या है, इन सभी issues में favor में ही judgment आया है, but penalties were imposed and the vehicles were released. Section 171 read with section 122 of this CGST. 171 deals with the anti-profiteering. There are few cases wherein the anti-profiteering, National Anti-Profiteering Authority have came into the picture, and they have imposed certain penalties on the persons against whom the complaint was lodged by the consumer, and it has been noted and it has been found that yes, the anti-profiteering was done, and the profiteering was done, and the provisions of section 171 were not followed. So this is one of the cases which we have covered. Saurabh Gahoy versus Pinky Sales. So in this case, applicant has purchased a footwear of rupees 699, and the respondent have not passed on the benefit of the rate reduction of GST from 18% to 5%, because अभी footwear का change हो गया था rate, it is now in 5%. By way of commensurate reduction in prices, this was not given, the benefit was not passed on. So therefore the application was made to the National Anti-Profiteering Authority, and then the government on the recommendation of the council has reduced the GST rate from between 500 to 1000 to 5%. Wide notification number so and so. Respondent has maintained the same pricing by increasing the base price of the product. तो उसने क्या किया, अपना बेस प्राइस प्रोडक्ट का बता दिया, बढ़ा दिया और सेम प्राइस रख दिया. So in this case, the respondent was directed to reduce the price of the products as per the provisions of Rule 133, Sub Rule 3, Clause A of the CGST rules, making commensurate reduction in pricing, keeping in view the reduction in the rate of tax so that the benefit is passed on to the recipient. Respondents also directed to refund the amount of 77 rupees to the appellant along with the interest of 18% and deposit the remaining amount of profit of this amount जो भी उसने profit calculate किया, and this amount was supposed to be deposited. So this was the pronouncement in case of National Anti-Profiteering Authority. Case number is 40 Saurabh Gahoy versus Pinky Sales 40 of 2019. That is the case number. Friends, moving to section 123. 122 we have dealt with. Now एक issue जो मैं आपके साथ डिस्कस करना चाह रहा था, वो मैंने प्रैक्टिकली फेस किया है. काफी लोगों से काफी डिस्कशंस करने के बाद आई हैव फाइल्ड अ रिट पिटिशन अगेंस्ट दैट. See, when you read the provision pertaining to section 73 or 74, it says taxes not paid, short paid. Input tax credit wrongly availed or utilized, or uh, uh, refund wrongly claimed. In cases में you can issue the notices under 73, 74. Now in case of circular trading or the fake invoice trading, जहाँ पे आपका ये एलिगेशन है कि मैंने इन्वॉइसेस दिए हैं और उस पर क्रेडिट पास ऑन की है, जिससे मैंने परचेज किए हैं वो भी फेक था, उसके पास से भी मेरे को गुड्स नहीं आए और मैंने भी गुड्स नहीं दिए, तो मेरी इनपुट और आउटपुट, तो उन्होंने क्या किया, एक नोटिस मुझे दिया, नोटिस वाज सेंट इनटू, दिस इज जस्ट फॉर अ डिस्कशन, क्योंकि आप लोगों ने मेरे से बोला था कि मैं कुछ इश्यूज डिस्कस करूं, सो दिस इज एन इशू, अ प्रैक्टिकल इशू which is before the honorable Gujarat High Court. So what they've done is they have added both my purchase and sale, meaning thereby the liability, tax liability on my sale and the input tax credit on my purchase. सेक्शन 122 वही क्लॉज 1, 2, 7 और 9 को इन्वोक किया, और उसमें उन्होंने मेरे सप्लाईज जो मैंने आउटवर्ड दिखाई थी उसमें इन्होंने बोल दिया कि भाई आपने माल ही नहीं भेजा, तो क्लॉज 2 में कवर करके जितना भी टैक्स लायबिलिटी था उसका 122 इक्विवेलेंट। फिर जो परचेजेस थी मेरी, उन्होंने बोला आपने माल भेजा भी नहीं और आपके पास माल आया भी नहीं, सो उसके ऊपर इक्विवेलेंट जो आईटीसी था वो पूरा, वो क्लॉज 7 के हिसाब से। सो दे हैव एडेड बोथ क्लॉज 2 क्लॉज 7 के हिसाब से द आउटपुट लायबिलिटी एंड द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, बोथ दे हैव एडेड एंड दे हैव इम्पोज्ड पेनल्टी, इक्विवेलेंट अमाउंट ऑफ पेनल्टी अंडर सेक्शन 122. I don't think that there is any problem into this. The problem which I found was that unless you determine the amount of tax which is evaded or which is sought to be evaded, how you can invoke penalty on me? Because section 122 ये बोलता है equivalent penalty will be leviable on what? A, 10,000 rupees, or tax evaded, tax not deducted, tax not collected, input tax credit wrongly availed, or refund wrongly claimed. So first and foremost, you need to establish that there is a evasion, and for that, as per my belief, you cannot issue a show cause notice under section 122. You will have to issue a show cause notice under section 73 or 74, and then you will have to adjudicate and you will have to take the cognizance in that show cause notice of section 122 and decide section 122 penalty amount also in that particular notice, section 74. So in my case, what they have done is they have issued the notice under section 122 only, wherein only penalty was levied, there was no tax liability. Output पे tax जोड़ दिया, input tax credit को जोड़ दिया, and they have said that this is the amount of penalty which you will have to pay. So there are a number of contentions which we have put in that particular thing, but we have challenged that the issuance of notice under section 122. Along with this, we have challenged rule 142, because rule 142 sub rule 1 clause है, अगर आप देखोगे तो उसमें भी ऐसे ही लिखा हुआ है that the proper officer shall serve along with the notices under section so and so, so and so, and there they have written under section 122, 123, 124, 125, 126. So as per my belief, the notices cannot be sent under these sections. Plus there is no provision per se in the law. Section 122 हमने पूरा पढ़ा. Have we find any provision which says that the notice can be served, the opportunity of being heard has to be given? That is written in section 127. वो हमें आगे पढ़ेंगे तो you will be getting the clarity of it. But that was the case. I will be discussing at some point in time उस केस के बारे में further. But let us now proceed to section 123. Section 123, penalty for failure to furnish information written. So if an information written is to be filed under section 150, and if you fail to furnish that information written, then this penalty will be invocable on you. If a person who is required to furnish and in any information written under section 150 fails to do within the period specified in the notice issued under subsection 3 thereof, the proper officer may direct that such person shall be liable to pay a penalty of 100 rupees per day of the period during which the failure to furnish such returns continues, provided that the penalty imposed under this section shall not exceed 5,000 rupees. So this is just like a late fees कि आपको भरना था और आपने नहीं भरा तो 100 रुपीज पर डे आपके ऊपर इम्पोज किया जाएगा और मैक्सिमम 5,000 रुपये लगेगा. Moving to next 124, fine for failure to furnish statistics. If any person is required to furnish any information or return under section 151, if any statistics is asked, if you have failed to provide that without reasonable cause, fails to furnish. So if you are required and without any reasonable cause you have failed to furnish such information or return as may be required under that section, or willfully furnishes or causes to furnish any information or return which is known to be false. which I am knowing that it is false, but still I am furnishing it willfully, then he shall be punishable with a fine which may extend to rupees 10,000, and in case of continuing offence, a further fine which may extend to 100 rupees per day after the first day during which the offence continues, subject to maximum of 25,000 rupees. So this is the penalty which can be invoked on or imposed on the person who fails to furnish the statistics which have been asked for under section 151, 151. So we'll be covering this in miscellaneous sections, miscellaneous provisions, chapter 21 of the CGST. We will complete this, and I assure once again that we will be touching upon all the sections. Miscellaneous provisions may be majority of us avoid those sections, but those sections are very important. Those sections are very important to be kept in mind. 122, 168, 164, 128, all those sections are coming from there only. नेक्स्ट इज जनरल पेनल्टी. इफ द पेनल्टी इज नॉट इन्वोकेबल अंडर सेक्शन 122, यानी स्पेसिफाइड पेनल्टी अगर आप नहीं है, ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी आपने नहीं की जो उसमें कवर्ड है, बट फिर भी आपकी आप ऑफिसर के हिसाब से आप ऑफेंस किया है आपने, तो इन दैट केस जनरल पेनल्टी विल बी imposed on you. Any person contravenes any of the provisions of this act or rules made thereunder, for which no penalty is separately provided for in this act, is liable to a penalty which may extend, इसमें एक एक वर्ड शायद एक लाइन कट गया है, is liable to a penalty which may extend to 25,000 rupees. So he can be made liable for a penalty to the sum of rupees, uh, sorry, sum of rupees 25,000. So 25,000 rupees तक का penalty उसके ऊपर लगाया जा सकता है. That is a general penalty in the law. तो अगेन मेरा यही कहना रहेगा कि 122 की हो, 123 की हो, 124, 125 या कहीं भी किसी भी सेक्शन में आपने ये नहीं पढ़ा कि आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड देनी है. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई भी पेनल्टी ऑफिसर डायरेक्ट इन्वोक आपके ऊपर इम्पोज कर सकता है कि कल होके आपके पास एक आ जाएगा जी कि आपने फलाना फलाना ट्रैफिक का सिग्नल तोड़ा है तो आपको इतना 5,000 रुपए का लेटर आ गया. नो, दिस इज नॉट द केस. इन दिस केस he will have to establish that yes, you have undertaken this activity which is covered under offense. So even for 125 general penalty, it is being said that contravenes any of the provisions of the act or rules made thereunder. So you will have to establish that you have contravened the provisions of this law. जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि आपका जॉब वर्क होता है, तो जॉब वर्क के अंदर 143 में देन देयर इज अ फॉर्म व्हिच नीड्स टू बी फाइल्ड, आईटीसी 04. अगर आप आईटीसी 04 नहीं भरते तो पहले 122 में कहीं भी 21 क्लॉज में वो नहीं आता है, तो देयरफॉर इट विल कम डायरेक्टली टू 125, एंड देयरफॉर 25,000 rupees is the maximum penalty which can be levied on that for non-compliance. It is contravention of the provisions of act or rules made thereunder. So there is a rule number 45, which is now contravened by you and you have not filed that ITC 04, and therefore 25,000 की पेनल्टी लगेगी. दैट इज द प्रोविजन. सो इसके लिए आपको नोटिस तो देना पड़ेगा ना कि ITC 04 आपने नहीं भरा, इसलिए हम आपके ऊपर ये पेनल्टी इंपोज कर रहे हैं. Unless you send that notice, you will not be able to impose. That is what my point is. Meaning thereby opportunity of being heard या natural justice process जो principles है that needs to be followed, and can that be followed, and can a notice be issued under section 125 or 122 per se? As per my belief, no. This is my reading. As per my reading, the section 122 notice cannot be issued under section 122. It has to be issued under 73 or 74, जो हमने अभी तक पढ़ा है. मे बी द गवर्नमेंट लेट अस सी व्हाट क्लैरिफिकेशन दे कम आउट विद और हाउ द कोर्ट डिसाइड्स इट. बट एज पर मी, वो स्टैंड लोन प्रोविजन जो है वो पेनल्टी के लिए है, लेकिन पेनल्टी को प्रूव करने के लिए ही विल हैव टू इशू अ डिमांड नोटिस टू मी, एंड देन for that demand notice I will substantiate my views, and if he is satisfied then it's okay, if he is not satisfied then he will impose penalty under that section. तो उस सेक्शन का पेनल्टी लगाएगा, लेकिन ऑर्डर तो 74 में ही होगा या 73 में होगा. दैट इज माय व्यू. let us take one or two case laws also in this. Again, ये जो डेली एक्सप्रेस है, this is a 129 judgment only. This is 125 judgment, Jasco Jewelers Private Limited versus State of Kerala, again Honorable High Court of Kerala. इसमें क्या हुआ, इसमें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी, रिट पिटिशन नंबर इज 1053 of 2019, 1053 of 2019. In this the issue was that the assessee has filed a writ petition in this case wherein he has challenged the order of penalty, and he has also challenged the constitutional validity of section 174 of the CGST Act. तो इसका एक बहुत फेमस जजमेंट है शीन गोल्डन करके. शीन गोल्डन इज अ जजमेंट ऑफ द ऑनरेबल केरला हाई कोर्ट वेयर इन दे हैव कैटेगरीली सेड कि नहीं, जो भी आपके पहले के ड्यूज थे, forget about the repeal and saving clause, everything can be demanded by the government. It's a very extensive elaborated judgment. शीन गोल्डन ज्वेल्स इंडिया प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, यहाँ पे रेफरेंस दिया गया है उसका. तो उसने 174 का उसमें भी चैलेंज था. सो दे हैव challenged the 174 provision per se. So in this case also that was done. The court has said that this is a matter which is connected with the Sheen Golden thing, and Sheen Golden is finally decided. At that point in time, it was pending. So a remittance of the writ petition for the fresh consideration and disposal on the basis of the grounds will suffice to meet the end of justice, and the impugned judgment passed by the single judge deserve to be set aside. So they have set aside the judgment, and then they have taken cognizance and they have remanded it back. सेक्शन 126 जनरल गाइडलाइन, जैसे हमने सेक्शन 75 देखा था 73 74 के बाद, तो देयर आर सर्टेन डिसिप्लिन, सर्टेन गाइडलाइंस व्हिच नीड्स टू बी फॉलो फॉर इम्पोजिंग अ पेनल्टी, कि अगर बहुत छोटा अमाउंट हो, माइनर मिस्टेक हो, तो पेनल्टी नहीं लगाने की. तो सबसेक्शन 1 सेज नो ऑफिसर अंडर दिस एक्ट, it says no officer under this act shall impose any penalty for minor breaches of tax regulations. If there is a minor breach, no penalty shall be imposed. No officer shall impose any penalty. Procedural requirements, and in particular any omission or mistake in documentation. So if there is any procedural requirement which has not been met, and in particular if there is any omission or mistake in documentation which is easily rectifiable and made without any fraudulent intent or gross negligence, then the penalty shall not be imposed. So the officer, subsection 1 says the officer under this act shall not impose any penalty for minor breaches or the procedural requirements, and in particular any omission or mistake in the documentation which is easily rectifiable and which is made without any fraudulent intention or the gross negligence. Explanation to this subsection says, for the purpose of this subsection, a breach shall be considered as a minor breach when if the amount of tax involved is less than 5,000 rupees. अगर 5,000 से नीचे होगा, then it is a very minor offense, and therefore it is a minor breach, and therefore the penalty shall not be imposed. B, any omission or mistake in documents shall be considered to be easily rectifiable if the same is apparent error on the face of the record. आपने टोटलिंग करने की कोई मिस्टेक कर दी और कुछ रीजन है, आपने सब कुछ लिखा लेकिन उसमें कुछ फिगर्स इंटरचेंज हो गए, so that is something which is apparent from the records and that can be rectified. And at the same time आप ऊपर देखेंगे तो उसमें clearly लिखा है that there should not be any fraudulent intent. Once that is established, it will fall into the minor breach, and then you can rectify the documents which are filed by mistake wrongly. Subsection 2, the penalty imposed under this act shall depend on the facts and circumstances of each case. So it cannot be a general thing. It is depending on the facts and circumstances and merits of all the each case shall be commensurate with the degree and severity of the breach. Certainly कितने इम्पैक्ट की उसने ब्रीच किया है, लेट्स से फेक इनवॉइस का एक ही फेक इनवॉइस इशू किया है या 5,000 करोड़ के क्रेडिट का फेक इनवॉइस इशू किया है. सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द डिग्री एंड सेवरिटी ऑफ द ब्रीच. थर्ड, तो दिस क्लॉज मीन्स सबसेक्शन 2 मेरे हिसाब से इसका ये कहना चाहता है कि यू विल हैव टू अप्लाई द माइंड, द ऑफिसर विल हैव टू अप्लाई द माइंड. If it is written in the law that this act, this penalty, just do not blindly follow it and apply the penalty clause into that. You apply your mind, see the facts and circumstances of the cases, see the severity, see the degree of the non-compliance or degree of the fraud which is taking place or whatever, or the mistake, then apply the penalty. No penalty shall be imposed on any person without giving him an opportunity of being heard. Now this is subsection 3 is very clear. It is very clearly saying that no penalty can be imposed without giving an opportunity of being heard. This is the point which I was raising, that if you have to impose a penalty under section 125, can you send a notice under section 175, or you will have to send 125, or you will have to send a notice under some other section. As per me, section 125 nowhere is envisages that the notice shall be sent. Subsection 4, the officer under this act shall, while imposing penalty in an order, for breaching of any law, regulation, or procedural requirement. Specify the nature of the breach and the applicable law, regulation, or procedure under which the amount of penalty for breach has been specified. So any officer under this act, जब भी वो कोई penalty लगा रहा है किसी भी order में breach of law या regulation के लिए, तो he will have to specify the nature of the breach and the applicable law thereinto, and then the amount of the penalty for the breach which has been levied. Subsection 5, where a person voluntarily discloses to an officer under this act the circumstances of a breach of the tax law, regulation, or procedural requirement prior to the discovery of breach by the officer under this act, the proper officer may consider this fact as a mitigating factor when quantifying a penalty for that person. So अगर सामने से जाके voluntarily आप disclose कर देते हो, officer discover करे उसके पहले, then that voluntary action should be appreciated, and it should become a mitigating factor कि उससे वो important considerable factor हो जाना चाहिए that the penalty amount shall be reduced, और जब आप quantify कर रहे हो penalty तो that officer shall consider that it was voluntarily disclosed. Subsection 6, friends, it says the provision of this section shall not apply in such cases where the penalty specified under this act is either a fixed sum or expressed as a fixed percentage. So if the penalty is a fixed sum or it is expressed as a fixed percentage, then in that case this provision or these provisions shall not apply. So when it is said fixed sum or expressed as a fixed percentage, we'll have to again evaluate that 10,000 rupees or 10%, whether it is a fixed percentage or maximum to 25,000 rupees. You will have to keep this in mind, and accordingly you will have to understand and interpret the law. As per me, the word used is either a fixed sum or expressed as a fixed percentage. Section 122 is out of it. 123, 124, 125 can be within this, because वहाँ बोलता है maximum 25,000 rupees. तो amount is not specified. It is not fixed कि 25,000 ही लगेगा, लेकिन जहाँ पे कह दिया कि 100 रुपए पर डे लगेगा तो वहाँ पे 100 रुपए लगेगा पर डे, लेकिन जहाँ पे ये बोला है मैक्सिमम 25,000 रुपए आप लगा सकते हो, तो वहाँ पे डिस्क्रिप्शन है. एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम these provisions, these sections will have to be the provisions of this section will have to be kept in mind, and accordingly the decision has to be taken. This again 126, this is again a matter which we have. Let us cover this. Daily Express versus Assistant State Tax Officer, Honorable High Court of Kerala. It covers the issue under section 126 also, जहाँ पे उसको authorities दी गई है कि वो relaxation दे सकता है. Writ petition number is 253 of 2019, 253 of 2019. Now in this case, the petitioner is a transporting firm. He has filed a writ petition before the court, wherein he is seeking direction from the competent where the competent authority has detained the vehicle of the petitioner on the ground that Part B of the e-way bill accompanied with goods was not complete. Part B was not complete, and further imposed tax and penalty amounting to 64,000 under section 129(3) upon the petitioner. Further उसके ऊपर penalty भी impose किया. So the direction which was given, the writ petition was dismissed by virtue of 129, which is reproduced as follows. It was dismissed absolutely. Section 129 states with non-obstant clause. So therefore it is an overriding provision. The provision is applicable to any person transporting any goods, which would include transporter as well. Section 129(1) makes it absolutely clear that any person who is interested in the goods shall be liable under section 129(1) clause B. Particularly, a reading of section 129(6) would indicate that where a person transporting any goods or owner of the goods fails to pay the amount of tax and penalty within 14 days of such seizure, further proceedings of detention, confiscation under section 30 can be undertaken. This would undoubtedly indicate action not only because of the goods but also against the transporter. So it is not only कि owner of the goods के against में ही action होगा, transporter के action के against में भी action होगा, क्योंकि वहाँ पे detention of vehicle का भी power है. and therefore the provisions of 129 would be applicable to the transporter also. That is what is provided in this. Otherwise, they have prayed for the consideration under section 126, which has not been considered by the honorable court in this matter. Next, 127, friends. This is a very important section as per see. As per me, it says power to impose penalty in certain cases. Power to impose penalty in certain cases. Now, please read this very carefully. It says where the proper officer is of the view that a person is liable to a penalty and the same is not covered under any proceedings under section 62 or 63 or 64 or 73 or 74 or 129 or 130. He may issue an order levying such penalty after giving a reasonable opportunity of being heard to such person. Can I presume? So this is very important as per me, because this section, what does it say? Let us first understand that. ये सेक्शन स्पेसिफिकली आपको बोल रहा है कि जहां पे भी किसी प्रॉपर ऑफिसर का ये व्यू है कि इस व्यक्ति के ऊपर पेनल्टी लगनी चाहिए, द पेनल्टी इज इनवोकेबल, एंड वो पेनल्टी किसी भी सेक्शन में जो प्रोसीडिंग हुई है, चाहे वो 62, 63, 64, 73, 74, 129, 130, किसी भी सेक्शन में जो प्रोसीडिंग हुई है वहां पे वो पेनल्टी कवर नहीं हुई है, then he can pass an order levying such penalty after giving a reasonable opportunity of being heard to the person. So penalty can be imposed. 126 की पेनल्टी लगा सकते हैं, 125 की लगा सकते हैं, 123 की, 124 की लगा सकते हैं, लेकिन अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड देने के बाद, नाउ अंडर विच सेक्शन द अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड नोटिस कैन बी सेंट, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन. आप 73 की प्रोसीडिंग्स में आपका मिस हो गया, 74 की प्रोसीडिंग्स में यहाँ पे लिख रहा है कि वो उसमें कवर नहीं है, तो सर्टेनली अगर आपका पेनल्टी 122 सबसेक्शन 1 की जो पेनल्टीज है वो उसमें कवर नहीं है, देन देयर हैव टू बी अ नोटिस इशूड टू द पर्सन. 125 की पेनल्टी उसमें कवर्ड नहीं है, देयर हैज टू बी अ नोटिस इशुएंस टू अ पर्सन against whom such proceedings must be undertaken, and opportunity may be given to him, and then the order can be issued. So the power is certainly there in certain cases. अगर हम इसको ढंग से पढ़ते हैं तो power is certainly there. Proper officer is of the view, he is of the view that the person is liable for penalty and the same is not covered under these sections. Then he may issue an order, that proper officer may issue an order levying such penalty after giving an opportunity. So can we say that the opportunity has to be given under section 127? I'm afraid that I do not feel that that is the intention of the law कि 127 में आप उसको नोटिस देंगे और उसके बाद आप कि हम ये पावर हमारे पास है, because 127 speaks about the power to impose penalty. It do not say that you can issue notice under section 127, and therefore the notice cannot be issued under section 127. The notice will have to be issued in the other section, and at the same time I am of the belief कि 122 में भी notice नहीं issue सकता, 125 में भी notice नहीं issue सकता, because the law per se does not envisage at any point in time that the notice shall be issued. And if at all the notice has to be issued, what is the time limit for issuance of that notice? Nowhere it is specified in section 122, 123, 124, 125. Please read that again. And I reach to a conclusion that the notice cannot be issued in those sections, and therefore they will have to take the help of section 73 or 74. They will be bound with that time limit which is provided in 73, 74, and therefore the notice will have to be issued in that section wherein the power to impose penalty can be invoked, and they can issue the notice to the person and give him an opportunity of being heard. This is my belief, and यही इशू पे जो मैटर जो मैंने आपके साथ शेयर किया वो चल रहा है. सेक्शन 128, पावर टू वेव पेनल्टी और फीस और बोथ. नो फ्रेंड्स, ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन है क्योंकि यहाँ पे कई बार मिस रीडिंग होती है. यू विल हैव टू कीप अगेन द टर्म इन माइंड, ये पावर किसको दिया गया. Please appreciate this power, this power under this law, CGST Act, has been given to government. So only the government can issue a notification and do the waiver. कोई कमिश्नर के पास आप लिखोगे कि मेरे को आप पेनल्टी वेवर दे दीजिए, वो नहीं दे पाएगा, because he do not have any such power in this law. Meaning thereby, friends, please appreciate one thing, पूरी लॉ में 73, 74, 122, 123, 124, 125 जो भी पेनल्टी के क्लॉजेस हैं, उन पेनल्टी के क्लॉजेस में देयर आर लिमिट्स गिवन और दी स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशंस गिवन। से फॉर एग्जांपल 73 में बोला है कि भैया अगर आप शोकस के पहले दे दोगे तो आपके ऊपर कोई पेनल्टी नहीं लगेगी, शोकस के बाद अगर आप देते हो तो आपके पास 10% पेनल्टी लगेगी, शोक ऑर्डर के बाद, और शोकस के बाद भी 30 दिन में भर देते हो तो कोई पेनल्टी लगेगी। ये प्रोविजन स्पेसिफिक दिया है। 74 में भी ऐसे ही दिया है, पहले 15%, शोकस के बाद 25%, ऑर्डर आने के बाद 30 दिन के अंदर 50%। सो दोस waivers are already given in that particular section itself. Otherwise the original section is 100% tax or 10,000 whichever is higher. So please appreciate that waiver is already given in the section itself, and therefore there is no empowerment, there is no power given to any of the officers under this law to waive any penalty or any late fees. And therefore जो भी आपने cases देखे होंगे जहाँ पे late fees waiver है, all those notifications are issued under section 128, and therefore this provision says the government may by notification, the government may by notification waive in part or in full any penalty referred to in subsection referred to in section 122, 123, 125. So any penalty can be waived either in full or in part by the government, not by the officer, or any late fees referred to in section 47 for such class of taxpayers and under such mitigating circumstances as may be specified therein on the recommendations of the council. So first and foremost, the government can only do it. It has to be done by way of a notification. Then the waiver can be in respect of 122 penalty, 123 penalty, and 125 penalty. And the late fees under section 47, it can be in respect of that also. Waiver can be in respect of that also. But it can be for a particular class of taxpayers and under the mitigating circumstances. Plus, the most important thing is that it needs to be recommended by the council. Unless the council recommends the same, the action cannot be taken or the waiver cannot happen. So that was provision of section 128, which as per me is again a very important provision of the law, very important section. This is a matter Sonu Ansari versus Union of India, Honorable High Court of Rajasthan, wherein the petitioner has challenged about the late fees कि जो आपने 76/2018 नोटिफिकेशन निकाला जहां पे आपने बोला कि 22 दिसंबर से 31 मार्च के बीच में जो भी भरेगा उसको लेट फीस वेव्ड रहेगा, उसको भी इसने चैलेंज किया. So what the issue was, petitioner is seeking direction to the respondents to refund the late fees which is collected from the petitioner while filing the GSTR 3B in his cash ledger in GST portal, so that he can utilize the same from discharging his liability. So he wanted whatever late fees he has paid or fees has been paid, it must be refunded to him. And further, he has questioned the legality of 76/2018. And the court in this case have said that the petitioner has filed the petition seeking the direction of refund of the amount without approaching to the respondents by way of appropriate application or representation cannot be entertained by the court. So the court will not be entertaining this petition because the representation or the approach has never been made to the respondents. First, he should have approached them. And secondly, the impugned notification is issued by the central government in exercise of the power under section 128, which already extends published in the official gazette. It cannot be challenged in front of single bench. Instead, it is open to challenge before the division bench. सिंगल बेंच के सामने ये चैलेंज नहीं हो सकता 76/2018. It has to be challenged before the division bench. Then that was the observation of the court given, and therefore this matter was adjudicated against the taxpayer. Now friends, we have some time, so what we'll do, we'll cover section 129, will not cover section 130, and if the time will permit, we'll cover few cases. Otherwise, we'll take the cases also tomorrow. We'll just understand what section 129 provides, because section 129 is the section which has been challenged before various courts. Forget about the detention और वो 129 की penalty और गाड़ी छुड़वाना या माल छुड़वाना, but section per se has been challenged that it is an ultra virus section. It is not within the constitutional validity. section 129 says detention, seizure and release of goods and confiscation in transit. So merely it is basically for detention, seizure and release of the goods and the conveyance. Now first and foremost, please note this, that subsection 1 starts with non-obstant clause. It says notwithstanding anything contained in this act. So it is overriding all the sections whatever is provided in this act. Where any person transports any goods or stores any goods while they are in transit in contravention of the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder. So where he is transporting any goods or he is storing any goods when the goods are in transit, मीनिंग देयर भाई अगर वो लेट से दिल्ली से बॉम्बे जा रहा है, इन द मीन वाइल गुजरात में वो कहीं गोडाउन पे रखा है, फिर वहां से व्हीकल चेंज करेगा, तो इवन व्हेन दे आर इन ट्रांजिट एंड दे आर स्टोर्ड समवेयर इन contravention of the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder, then all such goods and the conveyance, so both all such goods and the conveyance used as a means of transport for carrying the goods and documents relating to such goods and conveyance shall be liable to detention or seizure, and after detention or seizure shall be released. So this is for detention. It can be detained because those goods were not within the purview of the law or were in contravention of the provisions of the law. So the goods as well as the conveyance both can be detained, or seized, and after such detention or seizure that can be released or that shall be released on what grounds, that is A, B and C. So as per my reading, सेक्शन 129(1) नॉन ऑब्स्टेंट है, ओवरराइडिंग क्लॉजेस है, बट ये बोलता है कि आप रिलीज कैसे करा सकते हो अपने गुड्स को। रिलीज करा के उसका एडजुडिकेशन बाद में होगा, उस पर 122 की पेनल्टी लगनी है तो बाद में लगेगी, एडजुडिकेशन उसका बाद में होगा, यहाँ एडजुडिकेशन नहीं है। दिस इज व्हाट आई फील। Clause A, it says on payment of the applicable tax and penalty amount to 100% of the tax payable on such goods, and in case of exempted goods on payment of an amount equal to 2% of the value of goods or 25,000 whichever is less, where the owner of the goods comes forward for payment of such tax and penalty. अगर owner of the goods है वो सामने से आ जाता है और वो पेमेंट करने के लिए रेडी है, then in that case the amount which is to be paid for the purpose of release of goods is that he will have to pay the applicable tax and the penalty which is equivalent to the 100% of the टैक्स अमाउंट। 100% पेनल्टी लग जाएगी टैक्स की अमाउंट की इक्विवेलेंट पेनल्टी, और अगर एग्जेम्प्टेड है तो 2% ऑफ द वैल्यू ऑफ गुड्स का 2% या 25,000 रुपए विच एवर इज लेस, दिस विल बी पेबल एंड वंस दिस इज पेड द गुड्स कैन बी रिलीज। नाउ यहाँ पे मुझे जो एक प्रॉब्लम लगती है, at points in time I feel that this is a double taxation which is getting like forced here। मैंने किसी को गुड्स भेजे, वो गुड्स पकड़े गए, मैंने जीएसटीआर 1 में उसको शो कर दिया, 3B में उसकी लायबिलिटी भी डिस्चार्ज कर दी, सामने वाले को 2A में दिख गया, उसने क्रेडिट ले लिया, ये एक ट्रांजेक्शन है। अभी मेरे गुड्स जा रहे हैं, वो पकड़े गए, मेरा जीएसटीआर 1 तो लेट से मैं 25 तारीख को भेजा था, मेरा जीएसटीआर 1 तो 10 तारीख को जाएगा, 11 तारीख को नेक्स्ट मंथ के, 25 को गया, 26 को पकड़ा गया, 26 को गुड्स छोड़ाने के लिए मेरे से पूरा टैक्स भरवाया, उसके ऊपर पेनल्टी भरवाई, तो ये जो टैक्स था वो क्या मैं अपने जीएसटीआर 1 में दिखाऊंगा, और अगर दिखाऊंगा तो क्या 3B में उसको दोबारा भरूंगा? This is a question which is still unanswered. So does this section envisages that in case of detention of the vehicle or the goods or the seizure of the vehicle of the goods, you will have to pay tax twice on the goods which is being supplied, and then 100% of the tax as a penalty also? I don't think so. I don't think so. Secondly, on payment of the applicable tax and penalty equal to the 50% of the value of goods reduced by the tax amount paid thereon, and if the exempted goods on payment of an amount of 5% of the value of goods or 25,000 whichever is less, in case where the owner does not turns up, और जो let's say owner नहीं आता goods का, vehicle का owner आ जाता है, तो उस केस में ये हो जाएंगे, penalty will be 50% of the value, 50% of the value of goods as reduced by the amount of tax payable। let's say 10 लाख रुपए गुड्स थे, 18% टैक्स था, तो 1,80,000 रुपए आपने पेमेंट किया होगा, तो इसका 50%, 10 लाख का 50%, 5 लाख, 5 लाख माइनस 1,80,000, 3,20,000 रुपए पेनल्टी, और 1,80,000 रुपये टैक्स, ये 5 लाख रुपए आप भरिए, तब आपको माल मिलेगा, आपका गुड्स छोड़ा जाएगा। सी, upon furnishing a security equivalent to the amount payable under clause A or B in such form and manner as may be prescribed. So C is the clause which is empowering that for the purpose of release of your goods or the vehicle which is being detained, you can issue a security, you can issue a document, a bond, and on the basis of that the goods shall be released. तो इसके लिए 67 सबसेक्शन 6 में प्रोविजन दिया गया था, अगर आपके माल सीज हुआ है सर्च के समय और उसको आपको रिलीज कराना है, छुड़वाना है, तो इन दैट केस you are allowed to give a security and the bank guarantee or the bond. सेम प्रोसेस यहाँ पे भी है कि क्लॉज सी के अंदर आप क्लॉज ए में उसने डिटरमाइन कर दिया, क्लॉज बी में डिटरमाइन कर दिया, कोई बात नहीं, आप टैक्स की और पेनल्टी के अमाउंट का मेरे से बॉन्ड या सिक्योरिटी ले लीजिए और मेरा माल छोड़ दीजिए। बट इन मेजोरिटी ऑफ द केसेस आई हैव नोटेड दैट दे आर नॉट डूइंग इट। द पर्सन हैज टू अप्रोच द ऑनरेबल कोर्ट एंड देन द कोर्ट इज सेइंग कि ठीक है, अब आप इसका बैंक गारंटी या इसकी सिक्योरिटी आप दे दीजिए, देन on that basis the goods can be released. But does that conclude the matter? As per me, no. The matter is not being concluded because the proceeding are already started and proceeding will end once the matter is settled by the proper officer, and the proper officer will have to take the call. So provided that no such goods or conveyance shall be detained or seized without serving an order of detention or seizure on the person transporting the goods. So no detention can happen unless the notice has been sent. Now friends, please appreciate there is also a matter which is filed before the Honorable Delhi High Court, जहाँ पे इसको चैलेंज किया गया है, जो 41 करके एक सर्कुलर है जहाँ पे इसका पूरा प्रोसेस डिफाइन किया है, उसको चैलेंज किया गया है। सो आई विल नॉट गो इनटू दैट। कभी हम जब केस लॉज वगैरह देख रहे होंगे तब उस वक्त डिस्कस करेंगे, या कभी और किसी सेशंस में करेंगे। दिस इज नॉट द सेशन फॉर those kind of discussions. I have never focused on that. My only focus will be to read to understand the provisions per se. But in provisions में मैं just आपको add कर रहा हूँ कि you can refer that particular matter which is before the Honorable Delhi High Court, जहाँ पे जो रूल 41 सर्कुलर नंबर 41 है, जिसके अंदर उन्होंने पूरा प्रोसेस MOV 1 MOV 2 और वो सारा प्रोसेस डिफाइन किया हुआ है, उसको भी चैलेंज कर दिया गया है कि ये हो ही नहीं सकता है। That is not envisaged and that is absolutely circular cannot be followed. Subsection 2, the provisions of subsection 6 of section 67 shall mutatis mutandis apply for detention and seizure of goods and conveyance. So this is very clear कि आप उसके बेसिस पे आप बॉन्ड और सिक्योरिटी देके भी अपने माल को रिलीज करा सकते हैं। तो पर से जो अभी तक आपने सबसेक्शन 1 और 2 देखा, उसके अंदर आपको यही समझ में आता है, या मुझे यही समझ में आ रहा है कि ये रिलीज कराने की बात कर रहा है कि आप रिलीज कराना है आपको गुड्स को, जब जो पकड़ा गया है जिसके ऊपर एलिगेशन है कि ई-वे बिल प्रॉपर नहीं था, तो रिलीज कराने के लिए आपको टैक्स की अमाउंट और पेनल्टी भरनी है, वो भर के आप रिलीज करा सकते हैं। Clause 3, subsection 3, it says the proper officer detaining or seizing goods or conveyance, the proper officer detaining or seizing goods or conveyance shall issue a notice specifying the tax and penalty payable and thereafter pass an order on payment of tax and penalty under clause A or clause B or clause C. तो पहले वो नोटिस देगा, he will have to give an opportunity of being heard and then he will pass the order. Now यहाँ पे मेरे को एक वो डाउट रहता है कि whether the question of jurisdiction will not come here. Let's say the goods are moving from Delhi and it is coming to Bombay. It is being detained in Gujarat. So neither the supplier nor the recipient is registered in Gujarat. Then how the person who is how the officer who is of Gujarat cadre can detain such goods, or in case he is allowed to detain, he must be allowed to detain. I am not disputing into that. How he can issue a notice to me? Under what jurisdiction? Because he do not have jurisdiction on me. So how he can issue a notice? So as per me, the proper procedure should be that he would be informing either the supplier's jurisdictional officer or the recipients, and then accordingly the notice will be issued. So this also is a confusion in my mind. In my mind, I am again saying, while reading the law, while reading the provisions, and while seeing the matters which are before the practical issues, this again is a confusion which is always triggering my mind कि एक ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि जो व्यक्ति का jurisdiction ही नहीं है वो व्यक्ति आपके ऊपर नोटिस देता है। तो आजकल काफी स्टेट्स में ऐसा होने लगा है कि दे गिव अ टेम्पररी रजिस्ट्रेशन टू यू। जैसे गुजरात में डिटेन किया तो दे विल इशू अ टेम्पररी रजिस्ट्रेशन, दे विल इन्वोक द पावर्स, and once the temporary registration is given, then the jurisdiction will automatically come, and then they will issue the notice to you. Subsection 4, no tax, interest and penalty shall be determined under subsection 3 without giving the opportunity of being heard. Certainly it has to be given. Subsection 5, on payment of the amount referred to in subsection 1, all proceedings in respect of the notice specified in subsection 3 shall be concluded. So all the proceedings which are there in pursuance to the proceedings under subsection 3 will be deemed to be concluded. Now when I say that it is deemed to be concluded, so that has to be a proper order. So the order which they are giving is an order in as per that circular. It is not a specified document. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है जो रूल्स में बताया गया हो या एक्ट में बताया गया हो. तो आई हैव माई ओन डाउट्स कि वेदर दैट पर्टिकुलर डॉक्यूमेंट is a valid document or not. Subsection 6, where the person transporting any goods or the owner of the goods fails to pay the amount of tax and penalty as provided in subsection 1, when they fails to make the payment of tax and penalty both as per subsection 1 within 14 days of such detention or seizure. एक बार आपका गुड्स को डिटेन और सीज किया, उसके 14 दिन के अंदर अगर आप फेल हो जाते, अर्लियर इट वाज 7 days, now it has been amended to 14 days, further proceeding shall be initiated in accordance with the provisions of section 130 that will be dealing tomorrow. So that will lead to confiscation of goods and conveyance. तो अगर आप 14 दिन में पेमेंट नहीं करते, so it will lead to the further proceedings under section 130 which provides for the confiscation of goods. So provided that where the detained or seized goods are perishable or hazardous in nature or are likely to depreciate in value with passage of time, the said period of 14 days may be reduced by the proper officer. So 14 days को भी reduce कर सकते हैं जहाँ पे perishable और hazardous nature के goods होते हैं. Otherwise, within 14 days, you will have to make the payment of tax and penalty as specified in subsection 1. If you fail to do that within 14 days, then the proceedings under section 130 can be invoked. But in majority of the cases, I have seen that they invoke the proceedings under section 129 as well as under section 130, both simultaneously. So again, the very important question which comes to the mind of all of us, can section 129 and 130 can be invoked both simultaneously. तो जब हम कल 130 देखेंगे तो you will find that 130 also is a non-obstant clause, beginning with non-obstant clause. तो वो भी notwithstanding से start हो रहा है. Both are independent sections and there is a judgment of Synergy Fitcom by Honorable Gujarat High Court, wherein they have classified and very beautifully the Honorable Judge has written what is the difference in section 129 and 130, and he has taken a view that in certain cases, yes, both can be invoked simultaneously. So we'll be dealing with those cases tomorrow. I'll be discussing section 130 and 129 sections of 129 and 130 because both are interlinked and both are related. So I'll not be because the time is less today, so we'll not be able to cover. And tomorrow, anyways, we have time because after 129 130 discussion there is only 132 which will take time. Otherwise rest of the sections are very small provisions and that will not take much time. So friends, that will take up tomorrow. So I think I'll have to stop here at 129 discussion, case laws and 130, and rest of the proceedings we'll be discussing tomorrow. So friends, I'm really grateful and thankful to each one of you for participating in this particular series in the large number and making this series successful. And I hope that you all are learning GST law section by section with me. And I am certainly getting the feeling that the entire law is being revised very beautifully. And I once again thank to each one of you for the patience hearing and providing me this opportunity of sharing my views and learning GST law along with all of you. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.